Uh, We've also been working with Known and providing special services through the mobile unit. That unit is available to students and families when they may be in crisis or just need additional support. But it's been a very valuable addition to the district in serving the needs of students.
Thank you. And next we have Sarah Methner for position 1.
Well, thank you for having us here. I always look forward to coming and speaking with other like-minded individuals who are equally committed to public education as I am. I've raised 4 children in Port Angeles, and anyone who knows me understands that I would never put my children in a school district that I didn't think was stellar for their education. Apologize, I have hearing aids and the phone rings in my ears. Okay, that's the Port Angeles School District. I have raised 4 children. I told you that. I'm running again. People keep asking, why are you running again? Because this will be my 5th time running. And I'm running again because I'm not done. I don't feel done yet. The voters of this district have trusted us to live up to our promise, our 30-year plan that replaces our outdated schools and keeps a tax level that is responsible. I want to just really convey that this is a responsible tax level that the voters of this school district have entrusted with us. I've also been endorsed by all 3 of our local representatives. If I'm at the Democrats, I thought I'd say that. All 3 of them are on my side. So this has been my life's work. And I know that my experience, having been here doing this job for as long as I have, is vital to the district as we've now welcomed a new superintendent. We have new buildings going up. And we are dealing with really, frankly, uncertain budgets. And I think that we all in this room understand that. So for that, I ask for your vote. And I hope I'm rewarded for the years I put in to this district. Thank you.
Okay. Now, if you would like, any of you can have a minute for rebuttal. If somebody said something you want to add to or rebut. If not, you can skip and we'll move on to questions. Does anybody want the rebuttal time? Okay, then we'll move directly to the questions. The first one is a very common point of debate and discussion: cell phone use in the classroom. So what is the current district policy regarding student cell phones? And do you support drafting and adopting a policy that significantly restricts or prohibits student cell phone use? What factors should the board consider when you're doing this complex discussion? And so the first one is Nancy. Excuse me, I'm gonna get some water. And you have 2 minutes to answer.
Thank you for the question. So I think the data demonstrates that cell phones are disruptive in classrooms. I would support a policy that put in a structure to limit, access to cell phones during classroom time. I think it's disrespectful to the instructor. I think emergencies are different. There's exceptions to every rule, but yes, I would support policy that limited access to cell phones in the classroom. Thank you.
The research.
Yeah, we got it.
The research shows that cell phone usage for students is detrimental, and it distracts the students from their learning. And many of the issues that come up with kids in terms of being upset with other friends or totally disregarding the teacher, many of those things prevent good learning from happening. We as a board have been following the research and realizing that we wish to make a decision about this. But for now, we've been looking to see what some of the successes are with schools that are using it, because there's a variety of ways to approach it. So we are committed to improving the situation with cell phones and the negatives that can happen during students becoming so engaged with their cell phone that they fail to be taking the school seriously. So it is something that we're looking to for the future, and making sure that we go about it in a slow, thoughtful way.
Exactly. So the question was, how do I feel about them? Is there current policy in place? There is current policy in place. Is it strong policy? Not as strong as it needs to be. It really at this point what it's showing is teachers are implementing our cell phones in the bag or in the lockers, rather hit and miss. And for a cell phone policy to work, the one thing that we have seen over and over is every adult in the community has to be on board. Every teacher, every school board member, every student, every parent have to be on board. And it's interesting that where we find the most pushback on cell phones, like, for example, no cell phones are allowed at school. That's been people have that argument. Cannot have a cell phone. We have a lot of pushback, and the most pushback we get from our parents, which is interesting because let's be honest, in this society, a lot of people want their kid to be able to get in touch if something's going south. So that's been an issue. Our district really wants to thoughtfully do this. And if you go to, I always pull this one out, the Mercer Island School District has done an incredible job rolling out their cell phone policy. They have had meeting after meeting after meeting with parents, with families, with staff members to get everyone on the same page. And funnily enough, children seem to be the most on board with this because they're tired of, I want to have a bite of my sandwich, and now that's going to become a TikTok or something of that nature. So it's really messing with their mental health. So I think everyone agrees that something has to be done, but we have to do it in a thoughtful way that gets everybody on board. Because if everybody's not on board, it's not going to work. That's my opinion.
Thank you. And the next question, Mary, you'll be first, is that the school board's role is to provide oversight and accountability for
Norma,
district.
don't we go to a
Well,
live
I was
audience?
just doing there's so many of these.
Oh,
I
okay.
can go for
Oh,
live.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, I just thought I'd do a couple of these and then we'll go to live and we'll get there.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll start again. Okay. School board is to provide oversight and accountability for district leadership. And we all know you're not supposed to be doing day-to-day management stuff. So the question is, how do you define effective oversight? And what steps will you take to ensure transparency and follow through and accountability from the superintendent and the district administration? So, you want me to repeat that question?
That would be good.
Okay, so here's the question.
None of my pens work and I don't know what I've done.
Oh, well, I've got one. We'll get you one. Okay,
I've gone through two so far.
all right. So
Thank you.
it's it's a double question. How do you define effective oversight? And what steps will you take to assure the community that you are doing effective oversight and accountability of the superintendent and district administration? But actually, you're just in charge of the superintendent, not the administration. So we'll just leave it the superintendent. So Mary, you're first.
Thank you. Our oversight with the superintendent involves the leadership of the board, and we begin with that understanding that we have regular meetings, that we review the content that we're planning to proceed with, and make sure that as a group, we have had the opportunity to examine the oversight, whether it's student work or making a policy change. The board needs to work together to review all of that. And we have a great working relationship with the new superintendent that was recently hired. And so it begins with understanding, knowing we're all going about in the same direction, and looking to see if I have, and accountability, because the board is accountable and the superintendent also knows that the board is accountable. And so the relationship, the understanding, and making sure that we're all on the same page is critical. And we're very pleased with our new superintendent, the decision. We worked as a team, and it is working well. But to keep working well, we all need to communicate, collaborate, and look to the future together as in our work.
Sarah, you're next.
Excuse me. So, how would I define effective oversight? Would be talking with our superintendent as much as we feel we need to. We have a couple board retreats every year. In those board retreats, the superintendent has written out what goals, in this case, she is hoping to achieve over the course of the year. And then we have 2 periods where we're checking in with those goals and saying, yes, we're making those goals. No, we're not. What are your plans if those goals aren't being met to fix those? So that's really that we talk about that team of 6, 4 to 5 team of 6, and that's with the superintendent. So that is how we are, as Norma has said, that she is our only employee. And we don't have the power to do anything other than make sure that those are all agreed upon goals and we're all working towards them. And I think we do a pretty good job of that. I mean, just getting a superintendent hired showed I think our board, the amount of work we put in to hiring a superintendent, I would say probably I bet we did about 40 hours of work with it. I mean, really meeting and meetings and meetings and interviews and meetings and working together and talking together. This board has been very collaborative and it's just a very strong, I've been on many boards and this has been my favorite so far. It's just, don't tell some people I said that, but we have such a strong group of thoughtful people and our superintendent is that way too. And I think if there are any problems, what happens is Mary would call me and say, Sarah, I don't understand why superintendent is doing this or that. And she and I can have that conversation and then I can bring those concerns to the superintendent. And that's sort of how the whole relationship works. And it works beautifully.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. You want me to repeat the question?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Effective oversight to me is not only, working well and collaboratively with the superintendent, but it's keeping it professional. There needs to be that internal control. It's essential to the effective and fair oversight. I would evaluate without bias and measure the strength of the superintendent by their ability to be accountable for respect for the roles of the board and its school, and most importantly for its school climate. Do the teachers like to work there? Do the kids in the district feel safe? Do parents feel included? Thank you.
Now, is there anybody at the live audience who wants to see who's here? Anybody here who wants to ask a question? Okay. Remember, your question needs to be asked with a 30-second deadline.
It's good. It's kind of a final question, actually. If the collective bargaining agreement approved by the school board is not being followed by district leadership, would you support the union's right to file a grievance? And what steps would you take to hold the district leadership accountable to ensure compliance with the agreement, particularly to prevent unnecessary legal action with grievances?
So do you want to summarize your question? What your question sounds you're asking about is.
Well, essentially, since we make a collective bargaining agreement with all the different, right, one sentence. So it has to do with what steps you're going to take to make sure if the district leadership is not following collective bargaining agreements, what steps are you going to take to ensure that they do and avoid grievances?
Great summary. Thank you. Did that help? Okay. So now we're going to start. Sarah, you are number 1 on this question.
Thank you. I believe that we are following collective bargaining agreements and that doesn't stop grievances from being filed ad nauseum, quite frankly. The superintendent is very well aware of what our collective bargaining, intimately involved with what our collective bargaining agreements say. And I believe that they are being followed.
And Nancy, you're next.
Thank you. I would evaluate the current process and I would evaluate what is being lost in translation from both sides and be fair. I would ask pertinent questions, such as what rate, for instance, is a school district losing arbitration or winning arbitration? I think that would be indicative of whether the grievances are valid or not.
Are we gonna not do rebuttal here?
No, rebuttal's only for opening
Okay.
statements.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mary?
Okay, so it's vital to the success of our school district that we're all on the same page and that we respond to grievances and concerns of staff. And so it's my belief that we work hard at that. I think the district is open to talking about anything that comes up that we're concerned about. And it's also that whole process can really suck us dry in terms of working with a group. And I believe that our union understands that. I was PAEA president for several years and vice president. And I know that the Port Angeles schools care about working conditions for teachers. And they also want to take care of any issues that happen because it's to our benefit. As a district, it's more cost effective to be able to work through issues. And for the association, they want to keep the teachers happy. So it's a critical relationship, in my opinion, and one that we can all get behind. And sometimes it does take a mediation to get to the bottom of things. People may have a misunderstanding. And so the district will respond to that. I know that the teachers will and the association will, because we want to have an environment that is conducive to student work, conducive to the adults that work within our system. And so I believe that we all take it seriously if we've come to a block in the road and we're having difficulty. We know that it has to be resolved. And we all have steps that we can take to do that. And we're respectful of each other.
Okay, is there any question on the Zoom chat room?
I don't see any. If you have a question, you can put it in Zoom or raise your hand.
Okay, then we'll go back to our list that we have here. Okay, so this starts, community members often find it difficult to locate current budget information. So what will you do to make district decisions, especially budget, transparent and easy for the community to track throughout the year? So now we're back to Nancy is the first one to answer the question.
So yeah, sometimes board docs can be very complicated and sometimes people feel as though that budget documents are buried there. I think a wonderful idea would be able to post our budget documents, most recent on, I think monthly probably would be best, maybe after, before every meeting, along with our enrollment stats, like where we're at enrollment wise. But I think putting it directly on the school district website with a link or two, one click, here it is, and here's an opportunity to ask questions about it. Thank you.
When it comes to budget, it does look very complicated. And it's, as we all are involved in that process, it's important for us to be sure that the public has their questions answered. But it also is something that we all need to address. One of the ways that we've been addressing it this year is we have meetings prior to the board meeting because people have questions or they have concerns, and it is not possible to have those kinds of conversations with the public during board meetings. And so prior to the start of the board meeting, which is at 5 o'clock, we open at 4 to let people come in, ask questions, find out concerns. And I think just with the difficulty in wading through student data, the information that we have coming as, recent, that people may need to have an opportunity to have more of a discussion than they can get during a meeting. And so I just would like to make the public aware that 4 o'clock before the regular meeting that starts at 5 would be a good opportunity to have some of those questions. And we ahead of time can make sure that we have the people who work on those particular items available so that we can answer questions. But that would be a way to begin the process if you feel that you need more information.
Okay, so I think I have an idea of the question. So,
You want me to read the question?
no, I think I can do this. So the budget is, it's a very large document, and I don't honestly believe that there are a lot of people who want to wade through as big of the document as they are. So what we do, well, okay, now let me start. There's by law required you have to have 2 public meetings before you can pass your budget. 2 public meetings that have to be advertised in the newspaper and on our school board website. And those are available for people to come in. They have access to the entire budget, read the budget, and come and give us opinions on what the budget is saying. So those are 2 open public meetings that I think are pretty well advertised. I don't know how besides, hey, we're having this meeting, we could do more for. And as with the last one, I know we had 1 community member come. So I don't know how to get more people to our budget meetings. I wish I could. But at every other meeting, we have a budget report where we get to go through where the district is in terms of our fund balance, in terms of, well, it has our enrollment, because enrollment is what drives everything. So it has our enrollment, it has our fund balance, it has our ASB balance, there's all these different, our transportation fund. So people can follow along and see where our district is going. And fortunately, we are on a very slow but steady upward trajectory in our fund balance. And fund balance is the most critical thing. And as we see what's happening right now in the federal government, even in the state government with a $500 million hole in the budget, I've been on a school board where our money has been cut mid-year. Now, how did we get through that without having to also let people go? Fund balance.
Thank you. And now Mary, you'll be the first one to answer the next question. So we'll switch to, do you have anybody on Zoom? Okay. Is anybody else in the audience here to ask a question? Okay, so now we'll switch and talk about the students. Teachers and families have voiced concern about the increase in disruptive behavior and inappropriate language in the schools. So it's a 2-part question. The first one is, what do you see as the school board's role in addressing student behavior and improving the school climate? And the second half of the question is, what supports or resources should be prioritized to help staff and students? So do you want me to repeat the questions?
Yeah, if you would.
Okay, the first half is, what do you see as a school board's role in addressing student behavior and improving the school climate? And the second half is, what supports or resources should be prioritized to help both the staff and the students with this ongoing problem? So, Mary, you're first.
Thank you. Student behavior is important to all of us, and it will take all of us to have a response that can change behaviors. So when we look at what is our role, well, our role is to maintain an atmosphere in our schools that's conducive to learning. And so if that is if students are interfering with that process, it will take all of us to make sure that we can address it, from staff to after school, before school. Thus, we have a lot of areas that students can start causing difficulties in. And it's important to me that those are addressed, because we need an environment that is safe, that students don't have to fear being made fun of and or language that is inappropriate. Parents don't want that. Staff doesn't want that. And so our role would be that if we hear these concerns, complaints, that we make sure that it's being addressed by the right people, that we're getting to the bottom of what is going on. And this can be elementary, middle school, high school. And so we have to work together to find out and make decisions about with whom and what administrator might be needing to make sure that they hear what perhaps others aren't hearing so that we can address it. It's critical for our work and it's critical for the citizens that we're trying to raise. So it's important that we all have open communication about that and that someone takes responsibility to address it.
Thank you. Well, I don't think one person on the planet would say that kids are different these days, and teaching is harder. Teaching is harder now than I think it has ever been. Kids are, I want to blame COVID. It's not just all COVID, but I think that sort of is a demarcation line where things really went off the rails, because society is a reflection of, schools are a reflection of society. What's going on in society is going on in our schools. And we see that there are a lot of people in crisis. And to raise well-rounded children, they need to not be in crisis. And so I would never, to say that there's an easy way to answer this, there's not an easy way to make behaviors better. I wish there were. What we can do as a school board is provide more professional development for our teachers to work on how we're going to deal with the behaviors, what the laws are around the behaviors. There was a time, I think probably when many of us went to school, if you were cutting up in class, out you went. And those are not the case anymore. Those are not the laws anymore. You are not to exclude children, which is not a bad thing. It's just made jobs more difficult. Okay, so I don't have very much time. So professional development, I believe that your environment affects how you feel about things. And our hope is with this 30-year plan to building new schools where there's fresh air and there's light and people are working in an environment that they can be happy in. I think that translates to children. Getting community back into the schools, which each of our schools are designed to get the community into the school. We're going to have more open libraries available. They're going to be safer schools. They're going to be a place where people want to be. And I think that when you get your whole community in your schools and the kids see that, they have pride in that, I'm hopeful, really, I know that behaviors are going to get better.
Thank you. Okay, Nancy? You want me to repeat the question?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I would support policy and strengthen policy that supports teachers in applying the structure of the policy to sufficiently address the issue. So if there's policy in place so that they're supported by their principal, by the superintendents in following through on that policy. I would address the root about sufficiently staffing mental health professionals and school counselors, because school counselors equate to the trusted adults that might mitigate behaviors. For instance, for example, at the high school, there's only 3 counselors for all of those students. And as wonderful as the Family Navigator program is, and something that I wish was around when I was younger, there's only 2 for hundreds of students. So I think that those programs need more support. And I think that would go a long way to mitigating behaviors. And I would prioritize those needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any chat questions?
I don't see it. If you have a question at home, you can raise your hand or type it in the chat.
Is there anybody in the live audience here who wants to ask a question? Okay. We'll go back to our written list. Okay, Sarah, you're going to be the first one to answer this question. Okay. So public comment at meetings is one way to give input, but how can you help the community play a role in shaping district policy, having their voices heard? How will you ensure that students, staff, and community members have an ongoing voice in sharing, in shaping district policy and priorities?
Well, so Mary had already spoken about our open public meeting before our meeting. So, getting people jazzed about coming to that would be great. That's a really fun time when we can, last year, it was very productive. Some ROTC kids and their families came and talked to us on several occasions. And we did manage to, we all knew it was a very important program. And so when we were developing the budget, in our budget meetings, we said, this is important. And we managed in the budget to find funding to keep that ROTC program going, which I was at a classroom the other day and a kid there thanked me for that, which I hadn't heard that often. So those meetings, principals all send home newsletters to families. Quarterly, we send out, you all get them in your mailbox, kind of a state of the district going on. We have different committees. We have policy committee, where we have community members are on that policy committee, and they're directly wordsmithing the policies that come to us to approve. We have our PACAC committees are looking at how we're going to develop our middle school, our high school, Franklin Elementary. So we have community members on all of those. There are many ways to get community members engaged. Short of knocking on doors, I'm not sure how I can make sure that people come to those things. We have a Facebook page. We have our website. All of every board member's phone number and email address is on the website. We're very, you can write me, you can call me. Boy, howdy, did I get a lot of mail during some rather tumultuous times in the 2020. So those are the only things. Oh.
Okay, thank you. And Nancy, you're next.
Thank you. So I would add, speaking to committees, I would advocate on unsuspending the committees that have been suspended, because those are active and engaging feedback loops for community to have their voice heard and input it into policy. I would also, according to our current policies during the public forums, I think the community gets that they're not town halls or not back and forth, but according to our policy, the public comment is supposed to be at the beginning. But it's not, it's at the end. And that's purposeful, because it allows, prior to action taken, it allows the public comment to be heard. I also think their points of access are great, but a lot of people are working at 4 o'clock when they're in the cafe. You know, a lot of people are just getting off work when they start their meetings. So there's definitely areas of improvement that can happen to enhance communication. Thank you.
I'm a member of the policy committee, and it is a critical committee where we are given the opportunity to talk about whatever is current or something that has not been happening. The policy committee is attended by, so I would be one of the administration that's on that. We have a couple others, and we have public people involved in that committee. And it's a time that we can come together and really examine what's happening at the state level around our community, but also any other information that's needed about policy work. And so the policy work has a good working team of people that involve the community, involve us as a district, and then that we also explore statewide what kind of response is the state recommending. And so it is a committee that meets regularly. And if someone is out there in the audience tonight thinking, I would be interested in policy, that would be something to get in touch with the district about. And we can look to see if we have additional space for that, and continue to look and examine policies that are of special interest for you. So remember that the door is open. And if there's something that is bothering you, it's important that we all get to hear what you are concerned about, so that we can get people in the right places and have their concerns and issues addressed. So there is a policy committee, and they're doing the work each month. And if you have other concerns that you would like expressed, please do.
Thank you. Okay, and Nancy, you'll be first for the next question. Teacher salaries continue to be a topic of common concern amongst the public. The question is, would you support a tax increase to raise teacher salaries? Now, they're not specific about whether this be a local tax or a statewide tax, so you may interpret, I don't know where the question came from, so you can, the basic concept, should we do a raise a tax that would be dedicated to teacher salaries?
I think that's one way of doing it. I can totally understand as a taxpayer, the feeling of being taxed to death, that's no fun. But I also think in being accountable and responsible to the school district, that not only should we plan for, the end fund balance and the buildings, that we should put in, even if it's a 5-year plan or so, we should put in some kind of adjustment. OSPI has a really wonderful dedicated formula on their website acknowledging the pay disparities for salaries for teachers and staff in general. That's something that we could customize to our district, just as a stepping stone, because I know every district's different and we can Port-Angelize it a little bit. But that's, from the OSPI standpoint, that's an acknowledgement of the situation. But yeah, I would want to support a plan to incorporate that into our plans overall, so that it's not an issue down the road, because it will be. Thank you.
Mary, you're second.
Would you repeat that?
Yes, I'd be glad to.
I want to be sure I'm hearing all the
So
points.
the question was, would you support a tax increase to raise teacher salaries? And since I don't know if this question came from a concern about a local tax or a statewide tax, so just the concept of having a tax increase dedicated to teacher salaries.
Well, we're very sensitive as a board about taxing, because our community has really stepped forward during the time that we have needed to have new schools for safety, for teaching, for many reasons. And so our commitment to the community has to be taken into account. And I think our big concern has been that our state is not providing us with the funding that we need. And so it's multi-tiered in terms of where the money comes from and how it's managed. And so this would be a critical piece that would require a lot of discussion. Teacher salary is one. Our commitment to the district and our community is another. And so it's vital that these conversations are had, but that we are making sure that we are able to address the concerns of adding more taxes. That it's like one step at a time. We're thrilled with the new construction that's happening. We're thrilled that we're able to offer much to local contractors. We're being very frugal with those items so that we can get the results that we're wanting, but that we are stewards of this community's work. And we made a commitment. And so I'd like to pass the mic along. That is the initial part.
And Sarah, here.
Okay,
So
so,
you want me to ask the question again?
no, I think I got it. Our 30-year plan is the 5-year plan too. It's within that plan. We talk about, you have to tax enough to get your schools actually built. There's a price to that. Let's call that X. And then we have said X plus what we are paying otherwise for our levy funds cannot increase, will not over the next 30 years increase past that number that we have promised our community we are going to hold to. So in terms of our local taxes, we are where we're going to be. And you can look at the 30-year plan. This is our plan. This is our commitment to our taxpayers. Now, what the state's going to do, I can't control that. They're looking at a very big hole right now. I don't know that they're gonna wanna tax their way out of it. So, and I feel, I mean, I'm just gonna say something that's not gonna be very popular in this room, but our teachers in this state are among the top 5 states in the union for pay. Teachers are not leaving our district in droves because they're not being paid enough. We have a very, what's called a staff mix. We have a very heavy staff mix at the top of the pay scale. So, I'm not gonna be one of those people who's, oh, we don't pay teachers enough. I think teachers make a pretty good living. And you can, any taxpayer can go online and look and see every individual teacher's pay. And none of that pay shows with benefits. So when you talk every level of our school district, people are making what they make and add benefits. So in this town, I do believe that our teachers are being paid well. I think you can see that in our retention rates with our teachers, and getting full benefits. And it's teachers are making twice what your average person makes in this town. And I know that's not a very popular opinion, but it's just facts.
Thank you. Okay, now back to, do you have a chat room question?
Nothing.
Okay. And for the folks behind me, does anybody decide, hey, would you come up with a question? Okay, all right. Then we'll go back to my usual paper. And this time, Mary, you're gonna be the first one. Okay, so in Washington State, public school employees are not guaranteed binding arbitration rights within the collective bargaining process. Should public school employees be allowed to strike as the last resort? Please explain why or why not. So Mary, you're first one up.
To have staff strike, that's a great, a lot of, difficulty on our community, families, and students. I don't believe that striking is an answer for the situation that is concerning other people in making decisions about staff. And it's a line that wreaks havoc within a community. So in terms of the bargaining process, the district and our association meet. And really, in my opinion, it's important that there's open communication, that the issues are addressed, but at all costs, to not impact student learning and to not impact the progress that we're making in relationships. Because we need to be able to have staff addressed. We need good communication, but we also need to absolutely protect our community and the students from losing valuable time and learning. So there are many pieces that go into that, and I wish I could say that the state was fully funding our needs, special education, teaching, instruction, and it's a difficult area to go down because we're not being paid the amount that we need for special education. We're not being paid the amount that we need to deliver services. And that is the wedge that gets between us and the association, both vying for, I'll stop there, both vying for answers. And it's all about the money.
Sarah, you're next.
No, does anybody want to strike? No, absolutely not. I believe that the state law is that strikes are not legal. I was on the board when the last strike happened that went to court to try and stop it. We didn't, the judge agreed with us based on state law. Now, if you're asking me, do I want to change the state law? That's a different question, really, I think. I have different answers for both of those. As it stands now, I follow the laws of the state of Washington. So do I think that people have a right to redress their grievances? I do. I wish we could do it in a less angry and mean way. I mean, it's probably pretty clear that I don't have the thickest skin. I'm still having a little bit of scarring from our last thing. And I don't know, I'm trying to get over it. I really am, but it's rough.
I don't think your microphone's working.
Did it go off?
Go ahead.
Oh, maybe it's run out.
Here. Mike.
Oh, no, it's not out. So, I think I've said my piece.
Oh,
I hope people heard.
and Nancy?
Thank you. When PASD faces a strike, I think as a board member, it would be your job to do your best to direct and be active in ensuring that that strike is avoided. So taking action prior to the strike, directing the bargaining team to bargain in good faith, to evaluate the information, like what's the contention over? Is it fair? Is it not? What was the results of the arbitration? Look at past data on strikes and see if you can learn from anything. And show up to the community and be accountable and be responsive to their questions during such a perilous time if it was to take place. Thank you.
Okay, so Sarah, you're first up for the next question.
Okay.
So, a lot of businesses and have said it's hard to find employees. So in the school system, is recruiting and retention a problem in the Port Angeles School District? And if yes, what do you think you can do to manage the problem? No, you won't have to manage it.
No, it's not a problem at all. We have retained our staff very well. No, I think businesses around are having trouble. Maybe where we need to be focusing on is more making sure our kids are getting as much learning and out in the real world learning, if you will, to help our business.
I'm just gonna, Mary, it's recruitment and retention.
Well, we have retained we haven't really had to do much recruitment. People want to work in our school district. People want to be here, and they very rarely leave. So, yeah, we have people who leave because their husband got a job somewhere or they had a new baby or what, I mean, those things. But in terms of mass exodus from our school district, it does not happen.
Nancy, you're the next one.
Thank you. Are you talking about in terms of engaging kids and making them ready for the businesses around here or
Talking
other school districts?
about the school district itself, but the question was, have you had any problems both recruiting and retaining?
Well, I haven't served on the board yet, but I do think that it appears as though the school district does a good job about retaining teachers. But I think something to look at, which the community doesn't get access to, or at least to my knowledge, is the CEE survey that's going to come out soon. It asks about school climate and school retention and improvements and things like that. And the community is asked to engage in it as well, but we're never given the results of that. We don't know what happens to that data, how many people answered that data. We don't know how it's applied, but we're asked to engage. So I think it's important to be more transparent about that data and be able to look at previous CEE surveys and see what they said as well. And to make, and I also think it's important to mention that some of our teachers, the ones are about to retire, like we need to look ahead. We need to be active in our ability to sustain and retain teachers, because a lot of those people who have been here a long time and haven't moved away are about to retire. We're still going to be needing to be very, very active in that mission. So thank you.
And Mary?
I am proud that we are retaining our staff and especially our teachers, that we are able to address that. And we definitely study that in the spring of each year to be sure that we're serving the needs of our students and that we have teachers placed appropriately for for what their credentials are. And I'm proud that we're able to do that because that affords us the opportunity to put our funds in student programs. We have some excellent student programs that have been rising up. In particular, I would like to mention that we have great CTE programs in Port Angeles. We have construction, maritime, aerospace programs, and we have these programs that also we say that they are core plus programs. So a student can get maritime training and also have their English, science, all of that met. So the programs for students and taking care of staff has been one of our priorities. And that's happening because we all want what's best for our kids. And Port Angeles is through these different programs, we're able to give students opportunities beginning in middle school that will impact their future. So I'm enthusiastic and proud that we have been managing the budget in a way that we're taking care of staffing and we can fill the empty spots, whether it's attrition. We're able to continue to use our funds for staff, but at the same time, we're ensuring that these new programs for students can be met.
Okay, Nancy, you'll be first on the next question. So my standard question, do you have anybody chat room?
Any questions from the folks on Zoom? If you have a question, you can put it in the chat or raise your hand.
Okay, and anybody in the live?
Got one.
Okay,
Okay. With the current situation, there's a very limited opportunity for our students to get civic training and be prepared to become the young voters of the future. Is there any plan to increase their awareness of how important it is to vote? Not about who to vote for, but just the fact that they should be voting, they should be participating in meetings like this? Or is there some way of increasing their awareness and activism in the electoral system?
so is your question, can you begin to
What
get
approaches are-
teaching civics back into
I
schools?
think we should have of it.
Okay, so is that your question?
That's it.
How do you get civics back in the schools?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
Or how do
about
you-
what the schools are teaching.
all right, and how do you get your kids to actually take what they learn at civics and translate into
How
public?
well are we
Okay,
preparing them for that
all right.
transition?
Okay, so now, Nancy, you're the first one about civics.
Thank you. I had a recent proposal to my boss about incorporating more education about civics for our kids so that we have more options for counsel and they understand the process and they understand how important it is in regards to us. But as far as that, I think it's got to do with collaborations. I think we should collaborate with the city. I think our current build right now would be a wonderful opportunity, not just for civics, but for kids who learn different ways to actively be part of learning on site, on hand, in real time. As far as civics goes, you could collaborate with other organizations so kids can do things like shadow, in the auditor's office or shadow people in real time. I think it's really important that kids see it in action. I do think it's important that you collaborate with educators to provide those opportunities, especially public speaking. I think it's so important that we teach our kids how to public speak because it's so pivotal in both civics and in every aspect of life. So I think engaging people to help with that from various organizations would be wonderful. And it was something that we can hold pride in together and do together as a town. Thank you.
Mary's next.
I'm over here just bouncing up and down because this is one of the most recent things. And as I talk about student programs, I'd like to pass the mic along to Sarah because she has a real time, real life example of students doing this.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah,
Okay.
you guys are up there.
All right. Thank you for your question and absolutely civic engagement is paramount. So we have introduced college and high school classes and we have Eastern Washington University classes at the high school. And I was invited to come out and speak to two separate courses, and those kiddos, boy, they are on the ball. So, I mean, that's where we get civic engagement at that level, at the college level, we're getting kids involved. We also, at the high school, have voter registration happens during the school year when kids, particularly this time of year, kids we find out who are 18 years old, we're getting them registered to vote at the high school, not telling them how to vote, again, as you say, but hey, look, you're eligible to vote. And they do that through leadership class and in their civics courses. Down to the middle school level, we have, I think our weakest link is at the middle school because Washington State history is a requirement and that doesn't lend itself as well to civics education. So I agree with you that that is a place that we can really do more with. In our elementary schools, every November, well, during a presidential election, they go through a big program on voting and the school votes, and they do the whole explanation, teach them electoral college, all of that. So that happens at our elementary levels. So can we be doing more? Absolutely. But I do think that we really are focusing on getting, particularly our high schoolers, more civic minded. We have leadership classes for them. And we have school board reps on our school board. And these are kiddos who go back to their schools, talk about what's happening at the school board level. And they read over policies and they weigh in on policies and take that back to leadership and to the ASB to let kids know what's happening and to look out for if something is going to happen. We need to know it and get the kids a perspective on those.
Thank you. And we're down to our last couple of questions. I think my mic's not working either. So.
Yeah, there is one on Zoom.
Oh, there is? Okay. What's the question?
Nationwide, educators have been sounding the alarm about declining literacy rates and increasingly disruptive behaviors in the classroom. How do you feel these trends are impacting Port Angeles School District and what steps are or should be taken to address these concerns?
Okay, so Mary, you're first.
I think I need to hear it again, my apologies.
Okay, why don't you post up then, Mary? You can actually, it might help sometimes. You just turn around, it's posted right behind you.
Nationwide, educators are sounding the alarm about declining literacy rates and increasingly disruptive behaviors. How is this impacting these trends, impacting Port Angeles School District, and what steps are being taken to address the concerns?
So it's a combination of how the school board is addressing declining literacy rates and disruptive behavior. You had earlier some discussion around the disruptive behavior, so. Okay, so Mary, you're first.
So with literacy rates, our students are doing well in the assessments that we look at continuously throughout the year. And our literacy rates are solid. We have programs that teachers participate in so that we're looking at the critical markers of literacy. Teachers work together to ensure that they're doing the programs and looking at student improvement, as well as making sure that that we are addressing the critical parts of reading and being able to read materials at higher levels. That area of going back to the beginning, we have classrooms where we have students, and it was mentioned that part of the difficulty has been the impact that COVID has had. And some teachers asked me if I would be willing to do a class walkthrough. And I did that, and they approached me as both my role as principal, but also as a concern, and that they wanted another pair of eyes to see what was happening. Social emotional learning is a critical component, and we have staff that can address that. But when we talk about literacy, we have several areas going into the literacy that teachers are providing the best learning and education. But we also have concerns about the disruption that can happen when you have students who are not behaving in a way that is good for learning. And so it takes all of us to look at the issues to be sure we're addressing the right one, because we do have students in crisis and we need to make sure we address that.
Sarah, you're next.
Thank you. Literacy is a foundation. If you can't read, you're behind the 8 ball to go out the gate. We have introduced curriculum over the last few years that are trying to address that. There have been just study after study of what curriculum is best, and it changes. Like everything in life, just, well, we zip to the next thing, zip to the next thing, and now we're back to phonics. Really was the key all along, and we had left phonics, and now it's showing that phonics is probably the best way to go. So not probably, the numbers show that phonics are the way to go. So we are working at making sure our curriculum is as cutting edge as we can afford to make it. Kids do a lot of reading. We have programs in place for kids to do. Are they still doing star readers? Yeah, the star. So and we have map testing where we're testing kids in December, and then well, that's not accurate. We test them in the beginning, middle, and end of the year to see where our kiddos are landing and what areas that they need more work. So I think everyone is absolutely understands that literacy is key. So that's all I can say, from board down to the bus driver, not down to, I don't like to use that word, but from there to everywhere.
Nancy?
I think early detection of issues is key. Early intervention, routine follow-up with students falling behind in literacy, providing enough support staff to make those measures effective, and creating a school and climate that feels like it's okay to bring up concerns when we need to. I think we talked about this a little bit on the behavior front, and I'll just readdress that. I think we address behaviors by enforcing effective policy. We support teachers in doing that in real time during the day, and follow through on that support. And again, sufficient staffing for mental health professionals, I think, is critical and important to help mitigate behaviors and foster understanding of what's really going on. Thank you.
Down to our last couple of questions. And so, Sarah, you are the first one for this one. In a community as small as ours, it's likely possible that a sitting board member could have a family member working for the school district. So does that create a conflict of interest? And if it does, how do you handle it?
Yes. Well, that's sure a loaded question in this room. It absolutely can cause a conflict of interest, and there's a law about what you can and cannot be involved in. For example, I'm just going to call in this room, Nancy is married to a PAEA, one of the heads of the PAEA. So her ability to be involved in contract negotiations is very limited. So that would take us down to just 4 of us would be able to speak to that. So do I think that I'm not the only one who thinks it's a conflict of interest. The law thinks it's a conflict of interest. So I will just, I guess, leave it there. There's many things that Nancy, and I'm sorry to call you out specifically, Nancy, because you're the only one for whom that applies. I do think that it will make things a little more complicated.
Hey, Nancy, you're next.
Sure. No, thank you. So again, there's clear laws that outline in the RCW, like how to follow the formal process. You disclose the relationship, you put it into the board meeting minutes, and then you can recuse yourself from that decision. I don't think it's going to be that bit of a problem if I'm on the board when it comes to board. I'm not at the table negotiating contracts. I'm not signing checks. And I don't think that I'm the only one. Sarah, do you have a relationship to anybody who's a teacher in the district?
No.
Has it ever been an issue? So you don't have a brother or anything?
Well, I have a brother, but yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that President Mether had a sibling that was
Oh,
a
I
teacher
do
in the
have a
district.
sibling. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I do have a sibling.
Oh, I
He's
just
not
thought
working full time, but yeah, I do have a sibling. Yeah.
that's a teacher in the district. So that potential is there as well. And I believe President Mether also appointed her husband to the building commission. You know, since they'll be working together, that might be a conflict. I think as another example,
Okay.
Scott Harker, has a spouse that's a member, I believe she teaches in the district, but that could have an appearance, but there's a process for that. You disclose the relationship, you put it in the minutes, and then you recuse yourself from those decision-making processes. But it's something that's come up before, it's common. Thank you.
Mary?
Same question.
Same question.
Okay, so I think that I asked my brother, who is on a board in Oregon, I asked him if they had ever had a conflict of interest with one of the board members, because I just thought I want to get his opinion since they were addressing this. And he said one of his best board members indeed fell into the category of having a sibling. And he said he was a very thoughtful person. They went through the process, the procedure can work. And so it would be my hope that we would put things in place so that all board members could participate. It may take some extra time and understanding, but I would trust the adults in our community who are seeking these kinds of positions, that they would follow whatever was necessary to make sure that we were doing it correctly and that there was no conflict.
So we've come to the last of our big pages of questions. It's the last opportunity for anybody in the audience here or online.
I have a question. I'm just thinking, I watched a PBS program last night about poverty in communities, and I know that the poverty level is increasing here in our community. Do you know how many students in the district are unhoused, dealing with food insufficiency, and what kind of collaborative efforts is the school district using to address the needs of those students and families without singling them out or putting them in a situation of feeling embarrassed or less than as students in the community from all the grade levels?
So we're going to, let me see, we're back up to Nancy here first.
You for the question. As somebody who has lived with food and housing instability and who was raised in poverty as a child growing up, I am so overjoyed about the law outlining the Family Navigator program. I think that that has been missing. It's something that I wish would have been around when I was a kid. It would have helped my mom. It would have helped our family. Those individuals, and there's only 2 and there needs to be more. I believe the last number was, and it's defined by housing instability is kind of broader these days, like it's defined about couch surfing, just not being in your own home. I believe the last number was 284 students being affected by that. And again, there's only 2 family navigators. I think we need to support that. I think it's pivotal. They help with so much. We need to have care for our navigators so that they receive the mental health that they need because they're absorbing so much. But that program, I think, should be built on and is so powerful. So thank you.
The school district is very sensitive to the needs of students and insecurity for food. We have, for a long time, we have ensured that all students in our system are able to get breakfast or lunch and are fed in our schools. In addition, we do have people in our community who, and I'm thinking of one of the stores will give us additional product that isn't being used so that we can feed our students. It is a critical need, I think now more than ever, and it's very hurtful to see that. As principal at Dry Creek, there were times that without the opportunity for us to feed these kids at school, they would be at school hungry. And we have a giving community. We have businesses that reach out to share with us. But I thank you for the question, and I also want our community to know that this is critical for us to ensure that students are fed and that they are not charged when we have students who have no means. We make sure that they are fed. But as a community, I think it's important for people to know that it truly is a concern. And anything that we can do or community can do or business can do, we will make good use of that.
Well, we're past the point actually of providing food just to children who are qualified or free and reduced. Every child in the school district, every single child in our school district gets breakfast and lunch, period. Every child. You know, you can come from the wealthiest family and the poorest family. Every child is fed every day, which if you don't have that, if you have hungry kids, they cannot learn. It's your most fundamental need. I know I said that literacy was most fundamental, but hungry children is actually even more fundamental than being able to read. So every kid gets that. And I could not agree with Nancy more that we need more navigators. And I tell you what, it is probably one of the things I'm most proud of, that I was part of the board that established the Navigator program. I've spoken to entire WASDA about our Navigator program. Many other districts in the state are hopeful that they too can do it, but as budgets just get tighter and tighter and tighter, we had 3, we're down to 2, and I just am very hopeful that we can keep it. It's the same with our counselors in school. We made a promise that we have committed our levy dollars to having a counselor in every school, because we're not funded for a counselor in every elementary and middle school and high school. And so that is something that our local community, that's where those monies have to come from, to get those counselors in the buildings. And we have committed that that is absolutely important, but I would love to have more navigators. I would absolutely love to have more navigators. They do the greatest work. They help the families. They're a great bridge between the school district and the families. That's all.
So Sarah, you
Can I ask a follow-up though? Can you clarify the 284? Is that just food insecure or?
No,
I'm thinking
those are going to be your unhoused kiddos.
So
Yeah.
What about those?
Your
kids?
McKinney-Vento kids.
I mean, feeding them, but what about those kids that,
They all get to eat.
not about food? If they don't have a roof over their head, they don't have abilities to bathe and to
Well,
have.
you're getting, so except,
Yeah.
I'm gonna, you know,
okay.
like, you can ask a question for a number, but then we're gonna
Okay.
move to summaries.
Okay,
I can answer out a little more for
Okay.
you. Absolutely. One of the things that we talked about when we were developing the new middle school is, do we have laundry facilities at the middle school that kids can have at New Hurricane Ridge Middle School, that kids can use to sort of eliminate that barrier? Do we have shower facilities that are going to be available? So those are all questions that we are working very hard. And as much way as the school district can solve problems, we want to solve problems. It's not the easiest thing, and it's very complicated because, as you know, children would rather live in a car with mom than go into the foster care system. And honestly, when you do the research, they're better off with mom in the car than in the foster care system, just because that's how biology works. So as much as the school districts can do, we are trying to do. And it's frustrating that it's never enough. It's never enough.
Well, you can hold on to your mic and we're going to go to summaries, and you're first. We're gonna do reverse order in the summaries.
Okay.
2 minutes.
Well, all right, 2 minutes. I would like to just, a couple of things. I do want, if people heard that CEE data is absolutely available. It's presented when the schools come to present to us, they present their CEE data every year, and you can go back years and years for CEE data. So anyone
does
who's
that
looking for that,
stand
if you
for?
have trouble finding it,
What
Your-
is that? What is CEE?
CE is your climate and, what does it stand for? Climate and education experience. Anyways, it's the worksheet that, not worksheet, the survey that families and teachers and staff fill out. So it tells you how your schools are doing. So that is available. So I just wanted to clear that. I do ask for your vote. I know things are a little confusing because somebody else is going to appear on the ballot against me, and has not been to any debates or any forums at all. So I'm going to ask that at least I really do want this position. I want to continue here to get the work done, because there will always be work to get done. But I believe that my past speaks for itself. I think I've had some great successes at this, and I would like to continue to do it. So.
Mary, you're next.
Port Angeles schools have many opportunities for our kids. And tonight you've been able to hear even some of the in crisis concerns that we continue to have so that all of our students can be fed and all of our students have their needs addressed, social, emotional learning. As I wrap up my talk tonight, I would also like to point out that we have multiple programs that are available to help students. And one of the ones is our online learning. The online learning that Port Angeles has enables students from across the state of Washington to have online learning here. This last spring was the first time that we've been able to celebrate with those students from across our state and celebrate their learning and getting to graduation. We had that at the hall. And it was something that all of our community and people here tonight can be proud of. We had one that was most touching to us was a single parent father with a brand new baby. And because of a program like this, he was able to walk across the stage very proudly, holding his baby and so excited that he could graduate on time. And so these programs that we're continuing to make available, not only across the state, but locally, are making a real difference. And we're proud of that. So if you have a student in school and you're wanting to know more, please make sure that you contact someone at your school to learn more, because we're having great success. And for many students, they are having programs that are, as Sarah mentioned earlier, college programs. And so I'm out of time, but you can be proud that your funds are being put to good use and that our students are benefiting.
Okay, thank you. Just real quick, please consider that the format of those CEE presentations are for a board audience and not for a community audience. So sometimes there's not an opportunity to ask questions, some things are unclear, and a lot of things are non-specific. But to my closing, I want to rebuild trust between our schools and our community. That means not only building new schools, but investing in staff and programs in the schools we already have. It means listening respectfully when students and families raise concern, whether it's about coaches, academics, or cell phones, and show the community how their input shape decisions. If you want a board member who puts kids and community first and balance accountabilities, our biggest challenges are not just facilities, they're trust, supports, and respect. And we need to rebuild trust with being transparent with budgets and decisions and to invest in our staff and programs. Our students rely on every day and listen to our community with respect. That is the kind of leadership I would bring, and I would be honored to have your vote in November. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank all three of you for running. That's wonderful. And for coming tonight and explaining and answering so thoroughly all the questions. I want to thank the audience for creating some questions and interchange. And then the Zoom folks, I hope you enjoyed your Zoom. And thank you all for coming, and remember your ballots are coming out very soon.
Yeah.
Wednesday,
Yeah.
mail Wednesday.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, in the mail Wednesday, thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah.
All done.
Hog sticking in town.
Thank you. And thank you for Ellen for organizing.